From bare-knuckle fights with big money on the line to full-blown riots in graveyards, this traveller feud has been going on for decades, and it's all been filmed.
You went down there yesterday and you attacked a 72-year-old woman as well inside of that graveyard.
Get up! She's trying to get up!
No, there's 30,000 there if you want to fight for the 30,000.
This is how it's going. When we meet, it's all dirt from here on out.
I can have phone track with the West Right boys and we do it like that.
In the 1990s, there were simmering tensions between the Ward and McDonagh families in the Tuam area. Members of both traveller clans had a history of disputes. By the summer of 1996, this animosity was poised to erupt. The flashpoint came on June the 2nd, during the funeral of a local traveller businessman, Bernie Mongan, at Tuam Cemetery. A large gathering of mourners, including members of the Ward and McDonagh families, converged to pay respects. A small confrontation triggered a massive brawl. According to court testimony, Ned Ward became furious when he saw Bernie McDonagh standing on or near the grave of the deceased. Ned Ward ordered him to get off the grave, viewing it as a grave disrespect. McDonagh later said he apologized and stepped off the plot, but Ned Ward immediately punched him in the jaw with a knuckle duster. In seconds, the situation exploded. What followed was a mass melee in the cemetery. Hundreds of people were involved. A Garda sergeant on the scene later estimated up to 400 men and women fought across the graveyard. Amid the bedlam, many people were injured. At least 9 individuals required hospital treatment for wounds ranging from broken bones to deep lacerations. Edward McDonagh Sr. later testified that during the brawl, his wife was smashed in the head with a spade, and his daughter was beaten unconscious. The very next day, in the early evening, a large mob, primarily members of the Ward family, descended on the McDonagh family home to take revenge for the previous day. Estimates put the crowd at over 100 people, many armed with makeshift weapons. What ensued was effectively a siege on the McDonagh household. During the attack, reports claim a firearm was produced. Later in court, a McDonagh witness identified Dennis Ward brandishing a shotgun in front of the house. He allegedly pointed it at the home, and a shot was fired amid the chaos. Dozens of arrests were made as Garda investigators identified participants. Ultimately, 35 people, primarily members of the Ward clan, were charged in connection. In February 1997, a mass hearing opened in Tuam District Court. It turned into one of the longest and most complex trials ever held at the district court level in Ireland. Over a 16-day proceeding, evidence of the weapons, injuries, and damage was laid out in detail. The trial featured bitter blame trading between the two factions. Defense lawyers for the Wards claimed that the McDonaghs arrived at the funeral armed and looking for trouble. On the other side, the McDonaghs insisted they were victims of an unprovoked ambush, and Gardaí accused certain Ward ringleaders of orchestrating the attacks. The judge, presiding over the case, was unsparing in his criticism of the warring factions, remarking that he was fed up with it, and that those who engage in such public brawling have no respect for law and order. 22 members of the Ward family were convicted on charges stemming from the cemetery riot and the attack on the McDonagh home. The bad blood that boiled over in 1996 would linger for years to come. Indeed, despite periodic truces and Garda mediation, the bitterness between the families did not fully abate in the aftermath. Gardaí kept a wary eye on traveller gatherings in the area, conscious that the feud could flare up again at any moment. Their fears materialized in mid-1998 when an event in Tuam town centre brought the feud roaring back. Several men from the rival families got into a bare-knuckle fistfight in Tuam's town square, right in public view. In the aftermath, both sides issued challenges to settle scores once and for all. Word went out through the traveller grapevine that the Wards and McDonaghs were gearing up for a decisive confrontation. Within days, Tuam was bracing for what locals feared would be a mass street battle. More than 200 members of the Ward clan mobilised and converged on the town, only to find an almost equal number of McDonagh allies gathering as well. What unfolded next could have been a bloodbath, but for the concerted efforts of law enforcement. Sensing the imminent danger, dozens of Gardaí flooded into Tuam from surrounding districts to keep the groups apart. In a high-stakes intervention, officers negotiated a face-to-face meeting between the feud leaders before any fighting began. After about 90 minutes, an agreement was reached. The negotiators emerged, and though they refused to divulge details to reporters, their message was clear. The fight was off. One participant in the talks, Patrick Sweeney, a traveller elder allied with the McDonaghs, cheerfully told waiting media, "We've kissed and made up, and we're great friends now. It's all over." This treaty, soon nicknamed the Good Wednesday Agreement in a wry nod to Northern Ireland's Good Friday Peace Accord, was finalised on a Wednesday in September 1998, bringing an end to the immediate hostilities. In the 2 decades that followed the 1998 truce, the feud went mostly quiet. Both families largely honoured the agreement to avoid violence. They still lived in the same region, but they kept a distance from each other whenever possible. However, under the surface, old resentments lingered. The events of the late 90s had seared themselves into the collective memory of both families. The children who had witnessed their parents or relatives humiliated grew up nursing grievances. By the late 2010s, a new generation of young men, sons and nephews, had come of age. The rise of the internet and social media provided new ways to antagonize each other without direct contact.
Come out today, anyone ease this. You're ready to fight. All you boys ready to fight today. We're ready to fight today. We never have to put that. Listen,
today or tomorrow.
You're the ones that's running like curb dogs, and that's exactly what you're going to do.
It became increasingly common for disputes among Irish travellers to play out via Facebook or YouTube videos, where challengers would post recorded call-outs, often delivered in coarse, provocative language, to bait their rivals.
When you come into Tuam, get up in a live video and show you're in Tuam. Don't go hiding in houses. When you come into Tuam, go on live videos and we'll put you to sleep, you bastards.
These videos, filmed on smartphones and shared widely, added a performative element to feuds. The Ward-McDonagh rivalry was no exception. The peace finally shattered in 2021, and fittingly for the times, it began not in a face-to-face confrontation, but online. In the spring of 2021, fiery words started flying between prominent members of the Ward and McDonagh families on social media. 2 men in particular took centre stage: Tom Smurf McDonagh on the McDonagh side, and Dinny's Anthony Ward on the Ward side. Anthony's nickname comes from his father Dinny Ward, a way to identify him within the large Ward clan. By April 2021, their feud had become a very public spectacle. In one video that circulated in traveller WhatsApp groups and beyond, Anthony Ward appears on camera holding thick wads of cash, €30,000 in total, taunting his opponent. Speaking into the camera, he announces this money as his stake for a one-on-one, bare-knuckle fight.
It's the fair play man holds the money, or we will fight for nothing, right? Now there's 30,000 there if you want to fight for the 30,000. Now if it's not, the fair play man is not holding the money, we will fight for nothing Wednesday. We'll fight for pride, okay?
Not to be outdone, Tom Smurf McDonagh released his own video reply. McDonagh, a younger man, accepts the challenge. In his video, Tom can be seen dismissing Ward's bravado and upping the ante. "There's no limits on this," McDonagh says regarding the stakes. "Make it as much money as you want." He professes that money is no object, and that pride and victory are what truly matter. The agreed date was set for mid-July 2021, and anticipation built in the traveller community across Ireland. By fight day, a remote location in the countryside, was chosen to avoid Garda interference. A makeshift ring was marked out with ropes and traffic cones in a field, far from prying eyes. Well-known bare-knuckle boxing figures Davy Joyce and Michael Sweeney served as fair play men, essentially referees, to ensure a clean fight and to hold the wager money in escrow. McDonagh had a height and reach advantage, but Ward came out swinging hard. Within minutes, Ward landed a right hook that knocked the taller McDonagh off his feet. As McDonagh hit the ground, Ward lunged to continue punching, a breach of the traditional rules, which forbids striking a downed opponent. As the rounds wore on, Ward's temper got the better of him. After some grappling exchanges, Ward suddenly ducked in and delivered a vicious headbutt to McDonagh's face, an illegal move in any fair fight.
That's a play hit him head there, boys. Michael. Listen, it's the last time. It's the last time now. It's a good fight.
The fight resumed and continued for several intense minutes, both men trading heavy blows. Neither would yield or shake hands when the referees suggested a draw after a particularly hard exchange. In the 7th minute of brawling, as McDonagh and Ward clinched in exhaustion, Ward again smashed his forehead into McDonagh's face. A second headbutt.
One more time. I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, Michael.
One second. If a man says, I'm making it clear. If you do that one more time, there's a lot of money on the fight. If you do that one more time, deliver it foul jumping. Have to go. If a man has enough, that's it. There's nothing more I can do.
Less than 2 minutes later, Ward did it a third time, lunging forward and cracking his skull into McDonagh once more.
Game over. You waste! I am the best, you waste, you bastard! Yeah, shite! I'll bet you within a week!
Disqualification. 3 times. 3 times hit him to head.
You'll never be able for me! You f***ing shite! I'll take him full day! You'll never be able for me!
Boys, relax, boys. The referee will tell you.
I should join her. Yeah, fuck! I tell you! No, Shite, you want your fight! You want your fight! Respect us! But he's a shite here! You'll never be here for me! That's fair enough, Tommy.
Respect one. That's it, respect one.
Thanks very much, 100%. You'll never be here for me!
You have to be honest about it. Headbutt 3 times.
I know! You won't be here for me!
Where's the camera, lads? Put the cameras here!
Guys, here's the camera. You cannot disqualify for a punch because it's fight. I'm the on your side.
You'll
never be here for me.
McDonald's bastard.
You'll never be here for me. I want shite. You'll never be here for me.
Tom McDonagh, his face bruised and bloodied, was enraged at the cheating. What was meant to be a duel to settle the feud had instead ended in chaos, and it only inflamed the hatred between the families further. Tensions remained high through the summer after the bare-knuckle fight. The Wards and McDonaghs traded blame online, each claiming the other side proved themselves dishonourable. It was only a matter of time before a major confrontation erupted. The situation finally exploded on September 22nd, 2021, in an uncanny repeat of history. Once again, a funeral in Tuam became the flashpoint. That day, 2 separate funerals were scheduled at the Tuam Parish Church and Cemetery. The first, in the late morning, was for Martin Ward, a Ward family man in his 30s. The second funeral, at 2 p.m, was for Teresa Tessie Ward, an elderly Ward family matriarch who had passed away. Large crowds of the extended Ward clan attended both services. After Martin's burial, many Wards lingered at the graveside awaiting Tessie's funeral. Members of the McDonagh family also showed up to Tessie Ward's funeral. According to police testimony, some McDonaghs even helped carry Tessie's coffin as it arrived at the cemetery for burial. It was a delicate situation. Wards and McDonaghs now stood together in a graveyard, the very combination that had proven volatile decades ago. Sure enough, trouble started. As the coffin came to the grave around 3:30 p.m, a violent disturbance suddenly broke out between the McDonagh contingent in the procession and Ward family members standing nearby. Later investigations could not pinpoint who threw the first punch or why. But within seconds, the funeral scene was engulfed in chaos. Individuals from both sides produced weapons that they had covertly brought. Garda statements and video clips show that knives and baseball bats were brandished. Later, the priest would testify he saw men wielding Stanley blades and using them to slash at people. Others picked up whatever was at hand, including the wooden crosses marking fresh graves, to swing as clubs. The brawl raged for several minutes before law enforcement could arrive en masse. Within minutes, approximately 30 Gardaí rushed to the cemetery. Around 100 people were embroiled in hand-to-hand fights, panicked bystanders running in all directions. It took the combined efforts of all the responding officers to physically separate and disperse the brawlers. 5 ambulances in total, plus an Irish Air Corps helicopter, arrived on the scene to treat the wounded. 5 men and 2 women were injured badly enough to require hospitalization. Due to the grave condition of at least one victim, a helicopter airlifted him to University Hospital Galway. The family of Mrs. Tessie Ward, the woman being buried, were not involved in the fight at all. They were mere mourners who found their loved one's funeral overrun by this feud. The very next day, the warring families turned to social media once more, this time to boast and threaten in the aftermath. Each side posted public video statements and vowing to continue the feud. One video, apparently filmed on September 23rd, showed dozens of Ward clan men marching together. In the recording, once gathered, a spokesman for the group addresses the camera directly. He goes on to declare that any pretense of fair, rules-based fighting is now gone.
Right, boys, this is a message back to the Smurfs. Lads, you came to the graveyard yesterday, lads, blackguarding. We were at that graveyard yesterday, lads, show respect. He came with a load of weapons and stuff for the fight. Boys, our fair fights is over and done with. There's no fair fights. This is how it's going. When we meet, it's all dirt from here on out. And that's how it's going to be. You went down there yesterday and you attacked a 72-year-old woman as well inside of that fucking graveyard. You should be ashamed of yourself, boys. The fair play is all gone. When we meet, we'll sort it out. And that's how it's going to be. We have all the Galway wards, we have the Montbellier wards and the Tuam wards. We're all sticking together. And when we meet, we'll sort it out. And listen, there was a couple other fellas there yesterday had nothing to do with it. And Stephen Towney and that as well, you were there as well. And when you were met as well, you'll be sorted out as well.
The McDonagh side fired back with their own video response. A younger McDonagh man appears on camera. He ridicules the Ward video as mere posturing. He also accuses them of running away during the graveyard brawl, although each side often claimed the other fled first. These clips spread quickly on social media and even made their way into news reports, giving the wider public a rare window into the feuding culture. Law enforcement vowed to hold those responsible to account. A Garda investigation was launched, treating it as a serious criminal matter. Dozens of eyewitness statements were collected and video evidence reviewed. Over the following year, several men were charged for their involvement. Notably, John Smurf McDonagh Sr., the 52-year-old patriarch of the McDonagh clan, was identified on video actively participating in the fight. He had been at the 1996 brawl as well, and now here he was, a quarter century later, literally fighting on the same graves. After a trial in 2024, a jury found John McDonagh Sr. guilty of violent disorder for the 2021 incident. The trial painted him as one of the ringleaders. The judge noted McDonagh Sr. and another man effectively acted as leaders of the pack, egging others on. In June 2024, a judge sentenced John to 2 years in prison for his role in what the judge called nothing short of disgraceful, an abomination of an event. In the wake of the cemetery fight, there were also behind-the-scenes efforts to defuse the feud once more. Some elders on both sides were horrified at how far things had gone. Edward McDonagh, John Sr.'s brother, was one such figure. a boxing coach who stayed out of the violence, he stepped in as a mediator after the fact. He testified that numerous peace meetings were convened in late 2021 and 2022, involving a local Garda inspector and even a former mayor of Tuam. These talks were reminiscent of the Good Wednesday Agreement negotiations years before. For a while, they seemed promising. Edward McDonagh reported that everything was calm and there were no incidents for a stretch. Unfortunately, the cycle of revenge proved hard to break. While the Tuam Cemetery brawl was the peak of violence, smaller flare-ups continued to trouble Galway's traveller community in the months and years afterward. The feud's embers never fully died out, and by late 2023, signs indicated a dangerous escalation was looming. One alarming development was that the feud spilled beyond Tuam and into nearby towns. In one case, a 20-year-old man was arrested for a violent feud-related incident. He drove a car at 2 people in 2023, apparently attempting to run down rival family members. He later pleaded guilty to endangering life.
Oh my God! Oh my gosh!
Did he drive over him?
Oh my God, he's out.
And then came a series of Petrol bomb attacks. In November 2024, unknown assailants targeted multiple homes linked to the feud. One night, a house in the Headford Road area of Galway City, where some Ward family members lived, was firebombed with a homemade gasoline bomb, causing extensive damage to the front room. The next day, a house in Tuam, long known as McDonagh territory, was likewise attacked with a petrol bomb thrown by suspects who then fled in a car. Gardaí confirmed these incidents were linked to the ongoing feud and appealed for information. In January 2025, an unidentified man attempted to petrol bomb a house on Tuam's Gilmartin Road yet again. It was described as the second such attempt on the same house in a few months. The device didn't fully ignite, and the culprit sped off, but it underscored the persistent danger. Residents in Tuam now lived with the fear that their property might be next, or that they could be caught in the crossfire of the feud's next eruption. Despite multiple interventions, the feud flickers on.